Hi, I'm Kenny. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the requirement for translation of supporting documents when you apply for a Canada visa or immigration program. Specifically, I will try to examine these questions. What documents require translation when you apply? Can you translate these documents yourself? Or if you hire a representative, can they translate these documents for you? What kind of translator do you have to use? And do they have to be in Canada? What about the provincial requirement when you apply for a provincial nominee program? And please note, there will be a very important information at the last part of this video, so stay tuned. I'm putting a link below the video in case you need a translator to help. Or if you are a translator providing such service, you are welcome to contact the email below the video. Now let's start. This is the web page of the IRCC's manuals regarding the requirement for translation of supporting documents for applications. But before we start with the details of this requirement, I'd like to give a little bit introduction for this web page, as there was an episode when I firstly saw this page. In fact, this web page was firstly forwarded to me by another RCIC. And at that time, I don't believe this requirement is applicable to all the immigration applications. As you can see, the path for this web page is PRRA, which is Pre-Removal Risk Assessment and Refugee Protection. So I thought this is only applicable to refugee protection programs. However, later on, when I did more research, for example, when I click on this operational instructions and guidelines, it brought me to this page, and when I scrolled down, here is the standard requirements. After I clicked in, I found this requirement for translation of supporting documents for applications. And so far as you can see, the path of this page has nothing to do with the refugee protection programs only. And right here, we go to the page, and as you can see, the path of this page is changed to refugee protection. So I believe this path is only a technical error, and the requirements here should be applicable to all immigration applications. Here is also the note to state this. These instructions are applicable to the immigration and citizenship programs, which include the temporary resident program, permanent residence program, and citizenship programs. It further clarifies these instructions apply to IRCC online and paper applications submitted through consular missions and visa application centers abroad by people living outside Canada and by people living in Canada, the United States or abroad, and applying directly to IRCC. So basically, this requirement is universal. Now let's check it out. The first part is about the translation. Here it says supporting documents that are in a language other than English and French must be accompanied by an official translation of the original document or of a certified copy of the original document in English or French, which means you can have two options. The first option is the translation must be of the original document, and the second one is must be of the certified copy of the original document. As to the translation, you also got two options. The first one is the translation must be certified by a certified translator. And the second option is must be accompanied by an affidavit. And in both cases, the translation must be included with the application. Here are the details. When you made an application in French, you can submit any English document. The translation of the English document is not required, and it's vice versa. And here is the requirement for the certified translation. When you submit a certified copy of the original document, the accompanying translation must be of the certified copy, and the translator must stamp both the certified copy and the translation. So what is the certified translator? Here it says, a certified translator is a member in good standing whose certification can be confirmed by a seal or stamp that shows the translator's membership number of a professional translation association in Canada or abroad. All stamps and seals that are not in English or French must also be translated. And if the translator who has not yet received certification or accreditation, but is in the process of receiving it, is not considered a certified translator for IRCC's purposes. Here are the detailed requirements regarding the location of the translation. If the translation is being done in Canada, applicants should use the services of a certified translator who is in good standing with their provincial or territorial organization and certified to translate documents. And if the translation is being done outside of Canada, you need to use the services of a translator who is accredited, officially recognized or authorized in the country where the translation is being completed. And here is an important note. For all applicants, translations must not be done by the applicants themselves, members of the applicant's family, or the applicant's representative or consultants. And here is a list of what the family member means here. Basically, it covers everyone connected with you by blood. In the case a certified translator is not available, you need to use an affidavit. Let's check it out what an affidavit is. An affidavit is a document that states that the translation is an accurate version of the original text. The translator swears that their translation is an accurate representation of the contents of the original document. And this must be done in front of a commissioner authorized to administer oath in the country where they live. The commissioner or notary public must be proficient in English or French in order to administer the oath. Here is who can take an affidavit. If this is in Canada, you can choose a notary public, a commissioner of oath, or a commissioner of taking affidavits. And if you are outside Canada, you can always use a notary public or the equivalent in your country. For all applicants, affidavits must not be done by the applicants themselves, nor by their family members, even if their family member might be a lawyer, notary, or authorized translator. If you submit applications without translations, your application will be returned as incomplete, and the IRCC reserves the right to request another translation. So how long will be the translated documents good for? Basically, the translated documents are good as long as the original documents are valid. Some people may say, oh, seriously? I just applied a visa and I did all the translation myself, and it's approved. Well, I heard many things about such situations, but I once had a client who was refused a visit visa application. When she consulted me about the reason, after I studied her application very carefully, she got a bachelor's degree, real estate property, and her own company which is in active operation, mass evidence of business activities, and photos for travel and family ties. She was presenting sufficient funds and assets, along with international travel history. Frankly speaking, I had no idea why her application was refused like that. Until later on, I realized that all her supporting documents were translated by herself. So I would say it might be true that your application would be just fine if you don't follow this requirement. But there is, obviously, a significant risk to take. So I'm putting a link below the video in case you need help in finding a certified translator. And if you got confused by the web page information I just shared, let me brief and interpret it for your better understanding. Surely if you have already understood it completely, you can skip to the last part of this video to check out the very important information. So the first question is, what documents must be translated? The answer is, any documents in a language other than English or French must be translated. What kind of documents should you provide when you translate such documents? Well, you got two options for both the original document and the translated document. For the original document to be translated, you can either provide the original document or the certified copy of the original document. This is because in some cases, when you submit your original documents, they may not be returned to you anymore. So for unique important documents like your certificate of degree, you'd better provide a certified copy of the degree, not the original degree itself. But nowadays, in most cases, the applications are submitted through online system, this issue no longer exists. You just need to scan your original document and submit them as original document. But in case you still use the paper application, you need to understand this difference. As to the translated documents, you also got two options. The first option is always recommended, which is the certified translation, and in both cases, the translation must be provided along with the application. So once again, there are two scenarios. If you submit the original document, you must submit the translation of the original document. Or you can provide the translation of the certified copy of the original document, and you don't mix them up. For example, you don't provide the translation of the original document when you are providing the certified copy of the original document. The next question is, what's a certified translation? Well, a translation certified by a certified translator is a certified translation. A certified translator can certify the translation by stamping on the translated documents. So what's a certified translator? It's a member in good standing of a professional translation association in Canada or abroad. So you don't have to use a translator in Canada if you can find a certified translator in your country. For those certified translators, their certification must be confirmed by a seal or stamp that shows the translator's membership number. And if the stamp and the seals are not in English or French, they must also be translated. Without such a certificate, any translator is not a certified translator, even if they said they will receive the certificate tomorrow. If you are hiring a translator in Canada, you must hire a certified translator who is in good standing with their provincial or territorial organization and certified to translate documents. Things may get complicated when this is outside Canada because there are various systems of such certification in different countries. However, as long as the translator is accredited, meaning officially recognized or authorized in the country where the translation is being completed, it should be okay. And a very important note is the applicant, their family member, or the representative can't do the translation. If you meet difficulty in locating such certified translator, I'm putting a link below the video, you can check it out. In the case a certified translator is not available, you can also use affidavit, which is a document that states the translation is an accurate version of the original text, and the translator must swear this before an affidavit taker. So who can take an affidavit of translation? In Canada, it can be a notary public, a commissioner of oath, or a commissioner of taking affidavits. When it's outside Canada, you can find a notary public or its equivalent in your country to make it. Here is a slight difference. That is, the applicant and their family member can't take affidavit, but your representative can, which is different from the requirement of the certified translator. As to the validity of the translated documents, they remain valid as long as the original document is valid. Now let me ask you a question. Can a translator be a company instead of a person? Well, in many cases, a company cannot be accepted as a member to a certified translator association. Therefore, normally a company cannot be a certified translator. However, in some countries, the notary public there can accept the translation done by a company instead of a particular person. In that case, the translation completed by a company can still be accepted by the IRCC, as long as it satisfies all the requirements of the affidavit. The other question is, can I use AI to translate? Well, as far as I can see, it's not possible for a certified translator to certify a translation done by the AI. Neither can an affidavit taker accept AI to swear. So at this moment, it's not possible for you to use AI to translate your visa application documents. The first very important thing is the web page I just shared is a requirement from the IRCC, which is not applicable to the application to the provincial government under the provincial nominee program. You cannot take it for granted that all the provinces and territories would recognize this requirement for translation. In fact, many provinces and territories have their own requirement for translation, and I may discuss them in another video. The second very important thing is, the web page I just shared is just valid until last December in 2024. And by the time I publish this video, that web page is not valid anymore. Let me show you. So now, when I click on this translation of supporting documents, it pops up an error 404. Does this mean that the requirements are no longer in place? Not at all. Let's go back to the previous page and scroll down to the bottom. Here is the Help Center, and in the definitions, we can find the definitions of certified translator. Here it is. As you can see, the definitions here are in line with these requirements we just shared. The definition of a certified translator is still the same. However, considering that the requirement page has already gone for several months, it is possible that in the future the IRCC will revise their requirement for translation of supporting documents. If that's the case, I will shoot another video to examine in details, so stay tuned. I'm putting a link below the video if you need any help in finding a certified translator. And if you are a certified translator providing such service, you can also contact the email below the video. If you got any questions about this topic, please do let me know. I'm Kenny. Learn my lessons on your way to Canada. See you in next video.